Rosters are turning and burning as players are getting cut and signing with new teams as we start the NFL season. One player that just notably got cut and then instantly the next morning re-signed is Myles Gaskin, and now he's with the Minnesota Vikings with an interesting depth chart. And you're wondering, what should I do about him in fantasy football? We're going to go over that with you today, but before we do, you're going to have to hit that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out on this content because we're doing deep dives on these players, the waiver wire, drafts, strategy, and everything else to help you win your league right here on this channel. Hit that button. Stop missing out. But first things first, we're going to the Shefty tweet. Myles Gaskin, released by the Dolphins yesterday, is now with the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting opportunity as Gaskins proved to be somewhat productive during his short stay here in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. So we got to see what's going on under the hood here with the Minnesota Vikings, with his skill set, see if there's anything for us to explore here for fantasy football. Next, we're looking at the stats here, and one thing we want to know here is he is used in the passing game. We have 2 seasons with over 40 receptions. That's good to note. Over 10 points per game on the field. Not too shabby. We don't have huge rushing output, as we have 612 yards, 585 yards, but still, for what he is, we got some production here, and he's also efficient. 5.3 yards per touch. This is in 2020 when he was getting the most workload. 3.32 yards created per touch. So we can be efficient with the ball in our hands. That shows our upside. That shows what we can do when we are getting workload, when we are healthy on the field doing some things. Target share in 2020, 13.5% target share, 52.8% route participation rate. So Myles Gaskin can do some things. He can help this team, but can it be good enough for fantasy football? Looking at his draft portfolio here, got drafted in the 7th round. We got a late round pick, 5'9", 205 pounds. Athletically, he's decent, 4.58 40-yard dash, fast enough to get the job done. Good enough burst on the burst score. These metrics, by the way, are from Player Profiler. Check them out if you want to look up some of your favorite players. But good enough to get the job done here at the NFL level. And honestly, he plays faster than what he tested. You can see that in the highlights. You can see that on film when you look him up. But the running back depth charts, pretty interesting here. We got Alexander Mattison, the incumbent, taking over Dalvin Cook's role, looking to get a full workload. And then Kene Nwangwu is going to be out for a little bit. He's been dealing with injuries, so who knows when his role is going to shift back to where it was. But he's a prospect we've been watching for a long time because he's highly explosive, highly athletic, and if he got a full workload, be a guy to look at. And we've also been watching Ty Chandler because he's got some speed to burn, runs in the 4.3s, elusive, very explosive. We're going to see Gaskins fit in here behind Alexander Mattison, somewhere between Ty Chandler and Madison and Ty Chandler and Nwangwu until Nwangwu's back. But we're going to have to pay attention to the touch count. The fact that he's a veteran, he can be used in the pass game. The fact that they scooped in and picked him up like that means they're highly interested in him. They want to see what's under the hood too. And he could be seeing touches somewhere down the line. And you need him if you need a waiver wire dandy, and that may not be today. That might be 3 weeks from now. That might be when he starts seeing touches. We have seen him be efficient on the field. We have seen this team move the football. They were 7th in pace of play last year. So a running back getting touches in this backfield could allude to some fantasy football production. Maybe not high end since you're not a high end back, but could be something. But you may want to keep him on waivers for a bit, see what happens, because you may not have the roster spot for him. You may not be ready for him, but he's a player you probably need to keep an eye on. You need to keep an eye on him because his offense can be explosive. As long as Justin Jefferson's on the field and they are throwing the ball, slinging the rock, this offense is an offense that you need to pay attention to for fantasy football. All the weapons involved, even the backup running back. We're interested in the RB2 or the 1B or whatever they're going to do this year. But pay attention to Myles Gaskin because we're paying attention to the Minnesota Vikings because they can be an explosive offense. They can provide fantasy football production to multiple players, and that's something we're interested in. But right now, I'm not running out to get him. There's all kinds of running backs to look at. Plenty of fish in the sea. We need him to transition to this offense. We need to see what happens. But I know some of you are scratching your heads. Some of you guys are in deeper leagues. If the league's deep enough, then yes, maybe. It just depends on how deep. But most of you in the average leagues, you're watching him. You're paying attention. You're just making this mental note that he's on the Vikings, and this team can help running backs be productive because they are explosive. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Catch you in the next video.